Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the first of our quarterly series of Mountain Home, which is a Forged in the Dark game about dwarves traveling out to found a new steading. It is a really interesting revision of Forged in the Dark. I've played a lot of that. I've played some of that with people here. We've played Blaze in the Dark on my video series. I've also done Scum and Villainy. We also did Virgins. Virgins was the name of it, which was the sort of a Castle Amber game, which was really wild. But we are going to be playing this through the quarterly and seeing how far we can get with this. Ethan has played this before, but their campaign did not go the full the full distance. But they generously found the brilliant sheet done by the designer and were able to display it. So I want to again thank you for doing that, because I really was starting to work on a sheet, and I am so glad that we have this. It is out there. Mountain Home is on Drive-Thru RPG, and I think also on Itch. It's in PDF form only right now. There are a lot of page number TBD in the book, but it doesn't detract from the fact that it is very well done. It is very well written. The character keeper they have for it online is really dynamite. I would like take a printed version just of what they've got right now, because it's so well done, and I hope they eventually do a POD or a Kickstarter for this, because it's really solid. But I will put a link to that in the show notes, so if anybody is interested in picking up the game, they can do that. So what's going to happen is today I'm going to go through our setup, and we have a cat on screen, just sort of the edge there, to hallmark that. And then we're going to go to making some choices about the settlement, doing character creation. I might talk about a little bit about the relationships between the characters and like where we're from. We'll ask some questions on that. We'll take some breaks, and we'll also do that journey to the new stead, which is the way that we generate faction and so on in here, but we'll come to that. So the concept, we're a group of dwarves establishing a new holding. It might be in an existing place that has fallen, or it might be a completely new place we're establishing, but we are traveling out from our dwarven homeland clan settlement, and going to decide the fate of this new location. The game itself moves between kind of free play RP, between that and the settlement phase, where the characters recover from expeditions and do things within the settlement, and then an expedition phase, which is kind of the mission phase from Blades in the Dark, and then at some point we move to a new year, and there's a set of procedures for resolving the choices and what gets advanced within the settlement in that new year's phase. Our characters have expeditions, and this is something that Tyler asked me about before. It feels like there's a lot of chance for the characters to do things on their own. We can kind of play those during the settlement phase and sort of free play phase. But typically in a year, there's going to be at least one expedition that probably everybody's going to go on, that it'll be vital to that, or participate in some form. This is a game that has a span of time. It's a little bit different than Legacy, which jumps decades. We're doing years. And we're kind of moving it ahead. And of course, dwarves are long lived, so this is just a fragment, a slice in their lifespan. Each of our characters, our dwarves, are founders. They are important leaders, decision makers within this new stronghold, within this new settlement. They have a guild that they are the head of, that people are listening to them. They have people that work with them in that guild and people that are kind of their rivals within that. But you are important people. People listen to what you have to say. So just imagine that we're talking about our characters. Our sort of approach, what we're going to be doing today, after we get done with this little spiel, we're going to talk safety. We're going to talk the kind of settlement. We're going to do the characters, and then we're going to do that journey. That's the goals for today. For tone, so this is fantasy, serious but not dire. Certainly Tolkien and the kind of mythic level of that is a touchstone, but the dwarves from lots of different Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy tropes and milieus are also our touchstones. I would say that the Warhammer fantasy dwarves are probably not our touchstones. We're not dealing with chaos and grimdark and that kind of thing, and the weirdness of that, and all the dwarves having mohawks and that kind of thing. But that's sort of the limit. We're going to be deciding what our dwarves are like. I'm going to admit to you right now that once we kind of get rolling and we build it, my brain is going to go, I have a couple of fantasy settings that I've run, that I have in existence. Where does this fit into that? And that's going to, I will be doing that in my head, so that everything ties together. Finally, I should mention about subject matter. Our characters are the authorities. They are the decision makers. So that's a kind of set of stories that are different from other role playing. It is a game about tight resources at times, about dealing with that, about solving a political and survival situation. It is a game of fantastic violence, of course, and I think there's probably going to be a little bit of the idea of clash of cultures. I'm going to avoid the term race. We don't have a great substitute for that, but you're going to hear me talk about different peoples. There are lots of different peoples and lots of different cultures within the peoples. There are all different kinds of dwarves. There are all different kinds of elves, orcs, goblins, whatever. We're going to avoid sort of the bioessentialism stuff that all X are Y kind of thing. So that's just one of those things, because it's more fun when you leave that stuff aside, quite honestly. But with that in mind, we are using our usual layered set of safety tools that we do in the community. All the games run under this umbrella, use a set of safety tools. I use lines and veils as our baseline, as our default line, and we've got those on the safety and resources tab. Line being a hard line on anything we do not want to see, period, in terms of stories or on screen. Veil being anything that if it were to happen, it's off screen. We veil it. We don't talk about it. It might get mentioned, but it isn't presented on screen. And I'll talk about what players have made as decisions on that a little bit later. Again, in a living document, so people can add things as they wish to that. There are a few things that people have already added in there. The second thing is the X card. X card being used for anything that we find problematic, that we find objectionable, that we find wildly off tone, or if we find a particularly intrusive kind of play style. X card is both to mark out troublesome material, difficult material that is hitting against triggers or whatever, but also to mark out points that we need to stop and recalibrate where we're at. We need to have a talk, like maybe we started to lean towards a line and we haven't caught it, or maybe a tricky subject has come up. That's one of the things you can say. I want to X card, let's talk about this. But you can also X card and say, not this. You never have to defend those choices. You never have to explain why you're making that decision. The only question we might ask is about how far back we need to cut to get to where you want. You're welcome to explain it, but you're not required to. and people shouldn't push back on you for that. So that's really important. The other thing we have, and this is on the safety and resources tab, we have a romance matrix for people's comfort level with different romance with NPCs, with PCs, or and if you want, ask first before we get into those things. That's just to note out, because some people aren't into that. People for whom that isn't an interesting storyline, or people who are playing characters that they're picturing as ace or aromantic. Those are choices that can be made there. And then, of course, the last tool that we use is open door. If you need to leave, you can leave. You never have to explain. If you want to tell us that you're going to be back in the actual session, that's great. And also, if you find that this is not the game you wanted to play, once we get rolling, you don't have to come back. Not obligated to. So that is sort of the last tool that we have on there. That is also summarized on our safety sheet. If you're listening to this or watching this, you will hear me reference the sheet. We use a Google Sheet, Character Keeper. I will put a link to a copy of it, not ours, but a blank one, so you can see what we're working from. So let us talk about, I'm going to get to this. We talked about boundaries and safety. So we have a choice of settlements. And I want to talk about that first, because that really does shape how our game is going to be approached, like what it is that we're going to do. And those settlements are, I'll go through this very quickly, just so you get the sense of how I'm picturing this. Reclaim the lost fortress. You have learned of an abandoned or fallen military establishment that's in a dangerous territory. So there's that question of defense and warfare and struggling there. There's rebuild the buried metropolis, where rather than having fallen to war, it fell to time or some other circumstances. You're seeking to reclaim this lost city of once great renown that met a great fate. Moria, I think, is what we're saying there. Might be a reference to that. Exodus, in this case, our dwarves have become unhomed and they have been forced out into a strange land. And this is about their travel and finding a place and seeing if they could make it work. And then the mother lode, where we have remarkable magical energies or riches that have drawn dwarves to this new spot. So kind of a gold rush of sorts. What I'd like to ask is, does anybody have strong feelings this is not the story I want to play, or strong feelings of these are the stories that I'm interested in? And I'll throw that to the table. Tyler, I know you have some strong opinions, so I am going to start with you.
I'd rather not play Exodus, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I kind of like having a homeland in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not interested in the wander in the wilderness story very much.
Okay, that seems fair. Anyone else have any of these that is less appealing, that you're like, that definitely not what I want to play? Okay, let's go the flip side then. Ethan, any of these that, like, of those remaining three that you're like, these are these are my top ones or top twos, or are you like, I'm good with all three?
I think I like Rebuild the Buried Metropolis the best, but all three seem interesting.
Okay. Patrick, what about you?
I will throw in a vote for the mother lode, but I'm also super interested in the buried metropolis, so I'll back up Ethan on that too.
Okay. Metropolis. Sherry, you're muted, so your vote doesn't count.
I really love the idea of rebuild the buried metropolis. I don't know, that whole idea of there's something scary off there, like, there's all this stuff. Why did they fall? Why was it so bad? It doesn't seem so bad.
Tyler, are you good with rebuild the buried metropolis?
It was that mother load, and I think Metropolis was my fave as well.
Okay, then that is what we are going for. That is the we'll come back to what choices are involved with that when we get to later. So the next this is our goal. We know that's the goal for our settlement. It determines some things when we get into play, but we've got that as imagining is that's what's driven your founders to this. So you're going to choose a founder playbook now, and we're going to have you pick one of those, and let me get my little list of them and what they are all about here. Of course, I put that somewhere. Let me open this up here. So our founders, we have our artisan. This is our crafter type character. We have Earth Shaper. This is the expert miner, mason, and also demolitionist. I note that. We have the elder, who's a respected and wise pillar of the community. We have the keeper, who is a capable logistical expert and librarian. We have the rune master, who is a master of chiseled dwarven magic, which means that you're engaging with the crafting system a little bit more than other playbooks. We have the shield bearer, who's the stoic fighter and leader. And we have the warden, who is the vigilant scout and tracker. Now, the actions and attributes are in great part clear in their description, but I do want to mention when you're looking at that, that there is a couple of special actions. Stone speak is when the dwarves, it's a vision of a tune. They reach out to speak to their ancestors in the earth that connect to the personified spirit of the mountain home. So that's what the kind of our version of a tune is in this game. But then there's also infuse, and infuse is interacting and manipulating the magical property of objects. That is our crafting of magical goods of that kind of thing. So I just want to mention that as action types. So Sherry, I'm going to go kind of in order of arrival here. Do you have a sense, or are you going to go or let everybody else choose, and then I'll pick from what's remaining?
There's a couple of, I don't know. I love them all.
If you had to narrow it down to 2 or 3, could you do that?
Sure. I'm sure I could.
Do you want to do that? If you don't want to, then I will move on.
I like the scout one a lot. I like the Earth Shaper a lot. I really like the keeper too. I think those 3 look awesome to me.
Okay. Well, we got those 3 on the table. Thinking about that. Tyler, do you know what you would like to do?
I like the elder, I like the shield bearer, and I kind of like the keeper, but it's probably my third if somebody likes it. But those are my 3 to pitch out.
Okay. Ethan, what about you?
See, I kind of like the shield bearer. What is it? I can't remember which is which here. Artisan and rune master.
Okay. Patrick?
I also had a whole pack of them that I was looking at, but I didn't hear anyone list Rune Master as their first, so I'm going to take that.
Okay. So Patrick is going for Rune Master. Sherry, I swing back to you. Of
Yes.
Scout, Earthshaper, and Keeper, which one is most interesting to you?
Wow. I don't know. Bombs? Bombs are awesome. Let's see here. I'm sorry. This is like really hard. Because they're all so delicious.
Well, I'm going to go on to the others.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to you. Tyler,
right.
having heard kind of what you think, what other people are thinking about, what do you want to do?
I actually want to pass to Ethan to see
Okay.
what you'd like to play.
Shield bearer or artisan?
Yeah, those are two very different ones, huh?
Yeah.
Let's look at these moves here. I'll go with artisan.
Okay. So we have a rune master, we have an artisan. Tyler?
I think I'm taking the elder.
Okay.
And I'll take the keeper.
Okay. So keeper, elder.
We have no fighters.
No, we do. They're just NPCs that we love.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
And that we put into risk every time we do anything.
All right. So you will we kind of gone through that. We're going to take a look at the settlement sheet here. And I think we do that first. So I'm looking at the welcome to Mountain Home. So it says begin settlement creation process, walk through and build into the settlement sheet. But on the session 1 thing, it says to actually have us do our characters first. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got kind of the goal and premise. We'll come back to talking and making choices about the world here. You're going to pick one of those tabs, and there are just a few choices that you need to make: names, pronouns, clan legacy, guild, all of those things. So I'm going to let you go with that. And let's see how you choose those things. Yeah. So your apprenticeship and your obsession, are you going to choose those? Let me pull up the PDF here. Yeah. So each playbook starts with 2 bonuses to action ratings, and then they have the special abilities. They have their downtime bonus. You choose your clan's legacy.
Where's the information about that at?
So on our sheet, clan legacy is right below of clan, regarded as X.
I see that. I just mean, what does it mean?
Okay. So each one of those will give you 2 abilities that you get to pick from. Now, let me see how that does that. Okay. So if you look beside creating a character.
Okay.
If you change that, it should tell you your clan legacy has you choose 2 of blank and blank. Or whatnot. So you'll see what you get to choose from there after you've chosen that legacy.
Perfect. Thank you.
There's also, if you have the main PDF, you can look on page 16, and it has some like character questions, story leading prompts that go with each of them.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
And the uh thing with the playbooks on it, that it's starting think has a creator that describes that and shows a little of it.
All right, thanks.
I'll give everybody a few minutes. Did anybody have any questions? Are you able to get everything set?
Just exciting.
Hmm.
There's never enough.
Never enough
Dots.
points. Yes.
You start so bad. Oh, you're the founder. We're terrible.
Just think that everybody else is worse than you.
We were doomed.
Are we limited to 2? We can't have more than 2 in a stat. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yep.
Okay. That changes a little of what I was doing. Good. This is took on a blank apprenticeship as a, what is the as a, do you think that means? Like
The
as a
particular
guild?
details of the kind. Like I was a crafter's apprentice as a weaver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of ask like, what did you make? What did you do? That kind of thing. And those are on page 18 of the PDF.
You said they were on what now?
Page 18 of the PDF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. These would be good things to have as reference sheets in this character keeper for people to look at, to see them more easily. I will consider that. They got cute icons by them, though. Now that I have remembered it, I would pause the recording. So let's see. I'm going to work in tab order across the bottom there. Let's see. That means Sherry.
What a choice I've made.
What a choice you've
Hi.
made. So
Okay.
tell us about your character, and I'll ask you some questions as we go along here.
Okay, so I have a name first, which is like unprecedented for me in many ways for a new
Okay.
character.
All right.
So name is Dagriel. There you go. And they're a keeper, and they're of clan Onyx blood, who are regarded as Stonehearts. And Stonehearts seems to mean that you kind of like, I got stone speak from it and dig. So miners from way back.
Yeah. Yeah. They have intimate ties to the earth, and to the place that you're from.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of questions about that after you
Okay.
told us some more.
Yep. I was, how should we say, a particularly bookish dwarf. So I was actually apprenticed by my father off to his soldiers, and so I had to spend my early years figuring out a place for myself within the ranks of cranky dwarven soldiers and their lot. Mostly, I ended up scouting and being very bossy for my boss. So I was the sort of go between that would go. Yeah, Captain Stormboot says there.
Who were the military forces of your previous settlement? Who were they conflicting with?
Well, that's a good question. I think that we had gone through a period where we had fought off some peoples who had invaded like our area, like took the up top over and were particularly hostile towards us. There was another dwarven settlement that also was going through the same thing, and we were allies during that time. But we actually had within a sort of recent time actually pushed those invaders away, and it was actually the other dwarven group that had decided that they had done all the work and that our stuff was theirs, and it was sort of, we were fighting them.
Okay.
Does that seem reasonable, Tyler?
Yeah.
I want to ask Tyler too. So
oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so tell us about, what did you invest your points in for your abilities?
Well, so as I understand it, I get 2 from my apprenticeship, 2 from my kind of clan, yeah, and then 3 from my things. So I ended up with, for my soldier's apprentice, I got scouting and command. Is what I got for that. And then, of course, because I am a keeper, I got 2 in study and 1 in journey, maybe. Yeah, I took dig and stone speak from the Onyx blood from Stonehearts. So yeah.
So what did you take for your special ability?
Oh, my first one, quartermaster, and then you get another one, right? Or do you only get one?
I think you only get one at the start, right?
That always seems ridiculous.
I know, it's the worst.
It is the worst. Okay, so I took quartermaster because it's just a good all-around useful one for myself and others. So I can borrow aid to scrounge the fortress stores for ancient and forgotten things or lost artifacts of limited use. When doing this, I get a +1 result level. My first flashback to borrow aid in the form of an item using an expedition costs no stress.
That's nice.
So, but I do get a +1 result level too.
Tell us about
Gotcha.
you are a founder. You are in charge of a guild. What guild are you in charge of?
That's a good question. I'm in charge of the scholars. I'll give them an excellent name, but I haven't come up with it. And
Okay.
my name, their edge is that they're very tenacious when set to. Essentially, the thing is if you've decided to do a thing, you're supposed to do a thing. But our flaws are that we are perhaps a bit on the reckless side. We have up to this point not been punished for that, so we have become increasingly willing to risk a great deal to find out what it is we have set to do it. So
Absolutely. So you are Onyx blood, and that's a significant thing. Your family, your people, your clan line within the dwarven holding are strongly tied to the earth itself. So what is it that made it so that you wanted to leave, that you were willing to make that jump out of your stead?
I think that like as things got dire, we were going deeper and deeper into the recesses of our own home and into the old storehouses to find things to give us more options and stuff. And we found sort of a set of old stone braziers that were from this place. And I have a little bit of the stone speak, but I had a very particularly strong sense of purpose that we needed to take those back and that we needed to go there. Does that make any sense? So, and so we brought them forward to figure out where it was. That's what one of the things that the clan has been working on, is understanding where this place is.
Excellent. One of the things I'm going to have you do, and this is a name thing, so you don't have to decide it right now, but we'll come back and figure it out, is you need to come up with a name for the rival that you have within your guild and the ally that you have within your guild. You have one of those figures of each within that. What do you look like? Like, I know you've got a picture, but kind of how to describe it. Like, how do you imagine them? What do you imagine they're bearing? What do people think when they see you? Do they think, oh, this is a very young dwarf? Do they think this is an average dwarf, an older dwarf? Like, what do they think?
My first description of them was that they had resting axe face.
Okay.
They always look kind of grumpy and like, they really want, like they really just don't have time for you, that kind of like, but what it is they're incredibly distracted, kind of a lot of the time. So I think that what you have is a person who looks pretty imposing. And part of that was because when they spent time with the soldiers and stuff, that was very much encouraged by them. So it was sort of, make sure Dagriel looks tough, because they're one of us. And but also she's just incredibly impulsive and will just do things.
Okay.
So she is perhaps more in how do you say? She's a little shocking sometimes. It's more like she gets away with stuff because people don't expect what she's doing.
Okay.
So does that make any sense?
I like that very much. Now I'm going to ask you to roll some dice. I'm not going to tell you what's actually going on with those, but I need you to roll me 2d6 and tell me what the individual digits are.
Oh, great. Okay, so all I gotta do is find from the 9,000 tabs I now have open. I'm just gonna reopen the roller because I literally have 52 tabs open here at this point. So no. And I'm rolling 2d6, and I rolled a 4 and a 5.
4 and a 5.
I would have been thrilled with that if that had been an actual dot roll in this game. So.
And then can you roll me a 2d6 again?
Yeah. A 3 and a 2.
3 and a 2. So that is that. Okay. And then 2 more d6.
1 and a 2.
1 and a 2. Okay.
No 6s. and each roll getting worse.
Okay, and one more d6.
Just 1d6?
Just 1d6.
Oh, I gotta type something in for that. A 4.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to come back to you. We're going to ask some questions about relationships with you to the other people, kind of use that to build up some ideas about where you come from and stuff in a bit. But let's come on. Next is Ethan.
Back to the tab I was on. Yeah, so I'm playing Talon Rustax, who is a former, who was trained as a farmer, trained as maybe an exaggeration.
Okay.
Grew up in a farming family, was trained as a farmer because he lived on a farm, you know. But like has always kind of secretly like to build things and invent things and craft, which is also his obsession, secret crafting. And became an artisan that way, kind of like half secretly working on it. And where am I?
So a family that doesn't have a family that doesn't have a great name, a great legacy.
Right. They don't have a particularly bad. They're just like, just kind of part of the background. You know. Like they're not a shamed family. Like they haven't done anything horrible to make a name for themselves, but they haven't done anything great either. They're just farmers.
Okay. Your obsession is with secret crafting. Interesting.
Yep.
And you are an artisan. Like, what is it that you think? I mean, is it all kinds of things? Is there a particular kind of craft that you're focused on? Something that you're good at?
I think the secret crafting is a particular thing, but I'm not sure what it is. I think generally good at, or at least willing to try anything. And like just fiddle with it till it works, or it turns out sort of right. I think I took as my special ability jury rig, and I think that's it. Like it's good at a few things, but mostly just like, I'll bet I could make this do this other thing that it was never meant for. Not well, but it'll do it.
Okay. And the pronouns for Tullum are he, him?
He, him, yeah.
Okay. And what did you take? Where did you put your points?
Yeah, so I have one in craft and one in scout, one in journey and skirmish, 2 in infuse that came from the I think from the playbook, and 1 in stone speak, which I think came from apprenticeship.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have absolutely none in resolve.
I was about to say I noticed a certain gap there in your character build. So you've been chosen to do this, to go. What is the guild that you're in charge of?
Yeah, they put me in charge of the laborers because, well, that's I probably know a lot of them. Probably grew up with some of them are probably like my relatives.
Okay.
And among them, they are independent, but they're also wild.
Okay.
They can, they know what they're doing. They don't really want anybody's, micromanagement. And then when they're done for the day, they go get super drunk and pick fights.
Okay. And why were you in particular chosen to go out and be a leader in this new place?
I think partly because I had a prior relationship with a lot of the laborers, so like they would listen to me. And partly because I am good at just, making things work.
And
fixing things that go wrong.
yeah, and when someone meets you, what's their impression of you? What is the way you carry yourself or how you appear? What is that when people meet you as a dwarf?
I think if someone meets me knowing what I do, they're surprised at how like clean and well groomed I am.
Okay.
I spent a whole lot of time as a farmer. I'm tired of being grubby.
Okay. I like that. All right, I think that gives us a good sense of who you are. I see you've got your allies and rivals. We'll talk more about those possibly when we are on our journey here. I think that sounds great. Tyler, that brings us to you.
Yes. I'm playing Grunheld Meridim, she, her pronouns, of Clan Meridim. I took Pillar of the Community and a soldier's apprenticeship as a shield maiden. My obsession is hoarding. I found a picture if you want to look. It's at the top of my sheet. I'm a grizzled older lady dwarf. Still thickly muscled, but clearly slower and stiffer than in youth. I dress practically, a little militaristically, but there are precious heirlooms and valuable like trinkets and things that you can see, ornaments on my stuff. I have long gray braids, deep brown eyes, a ruddy complexion, and a nose that's been broken more than once. And my stats I have nothing in insight. Not my strong point, but okay. I have 1 in dig, 1 in skirmish. I have 1 in command, 2 in convince, and 2 in host.
Okay. So you've been around for a long time. You've seen a lot of ages change in your particular stronghold. What is it about recent events in your stronghold that like made you decide I need to go to this new place?
They've gotten soft.
Okay.
They've stopped realizing that we have to strive and constantly be moving forward, or else we will be left behind.
Okay. What did you take as your special ability?
I took old friends. I'm kind of torn on it. I like this one, but there was another one I think super cool. I'll surely pick it up if I don't get it. You can push yourself to create a shared history with a non-player character. Do a host fortune roll to determine the quality of your relationship.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
I think it's kind of cool too.
Yeah. And tell us about the guild that you lead.
I haven't named it yet, but I will shortly. The guards. So I don't think anyone else took that. I was looking. I don't think anyone else has a guards guild. No. Yeah. So it's kind of our military force, or at least the people that are dedicated to keeping the gates secure. Maybe not at this point, we're not thinking of the going out attack. These are the people who are here to make sure we stay safe inside. And they are very loyal. That's their edge. But their flaw is that they're slow. They're kind of hard to get moving. Okay. They want to do their thing.
And I see you picked the names for your ally and rival. That is good. Have you been married? Single? Do you have kids?
I was married. He has sadly passed on.
Okay.
Might be another reason, certainly not one I say.
Okay.
But that I was ready to leave. I do have children, 2.
Okay. And
they have done well for themselves and are notable in our homeland. But it's been 100 years since they were born. It's
They're not
they're
coming with?
almost adults.
Yeah, but they're not coming with you?
No.
Okay, all right. Interesting. I think that gives us some interesting stuff to work from. Let's come to Patrick.
Hello. So I'm playing Dozen Runejaw, Rune Master. He, him, and the clan that he is a member of, although I don't think it's a familial clan, are the Shard Singers.
Okay.
That's a Forge Master clan, and I think it's sort of like you have to qualify and be invited and go through testings and achievements to join the clan, sort of thing.
Okay. And what about your apprenticeship?
So my apprenticeship was as a weaver, and I think that's how he was taught the runes before he was ever allowed to like carve and empower them, because the rune shapes look simple, but they're made up of like dozens upon dozens of different strokes and lines of various thickness and hardness, and being able to like stitch and weave that out in cloth and fine detail was how he had to learn it before he was ever allowed to like put it into stone or metal and make something real.
The complex mathematical practices and design practices of working on a loom. Okay. I like that. What did you take for your actions?
So I did shift things around a little bit, because the way I first built it up, I ended up very specialized with 2 in infuse, 2 in stone speak, 2 in craft, and 1 in study. But I did move one of those infuse over to dig.
Okay.
So I do have 2 craft and 1 study. I have 1 dig. I have nothing in resolve stats. And then I have
That's
a point of
2
infuse.
of you now with nothing in resolve.
I decided to make my background choices sort of stick to type, and it narrowly focused me.
All right. And what did you choose for your special ability?
So my special ability. Oh, and I do have a picture. It's lower down on the left there.
Oh, I see.
Lots of tattoos all over him, sort of thing. I was also just amused that there was a picture of a dwarf in a bathhouse. Like, let's have a bathhouse. That sounds fun. Anyways, I went with Earthen Effigy, which is you may take the time to create a clay version of yourself that you can control. You must mark 1 stress to swap between bodies. I don't know. I think I was still sort of inspired by like transhumanist cyberpunk stuff from the Veil.
Okay.
So I wanted to see what that would do in a high fantasy dwarf game. So he's got this like clay and stone body that he can inhabit, and I'll figure out exactly what that's for, but it's definitely useful for like dangerous situations or like high end craftings from inside the forge, sort of thing. But I don't know, explore to see what that means.
Yeah. What is the guild that you're in charge of?
So I went with the Scouts, the Moray Assembly.
Okay.
And I went with that on the idea that like he is hooked up in a sort of symbiotic relationship with this group, where they go out and explore and find strange and unique or rare ingredients, materials, that sort of thing, and bring them back, and that helps him forge and rune cast like ever more complex things, some of which he shares with them.
So they're not worried that you have absolutely no dots in Scout?
No. And also, just to tie in there, my obsession, I'm still sort of wavering between, but either heresy or wandering. And again, like, no points in skill for wandering, just going out into the uninhabited places and hoping for the best.
What are the traits of the guild?
So I went with inventive. I thought about independent because as scouts they're going to go out a lot, but I think I wanted to lean more into the like creative solutions and the really like wild places they can get into, which goes along with their reckless. I think if they've decided that they want to open up a passage or get by a way, they're not really going to pay much attention to like proper mine safety and structural stability along the way.
I am down with that. That sounds great to me.
But yeah,
So,
that's sort of where I got the name from. I think they have like an eel as their symbol, and they really like that wriggling into the small spaces and getting anywhere they want to go. That's their ethos.
yeah, I imagine that the dwarven cave eels are a real thing. Which is, you know, then we're also a callback to Blades in the Dark then, with the eels. All right, I think that gives us a good sense. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our first break here. When we come back, we're gonna kind of swap between talking about your characters and the early stuff, relationships, and also talking about the situation of the world and those kinds of things. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's take 10. So, Sherry,
Yes.
amongst the others who we've established as founders here, and if everybody could put their name in their byline on your character, who is it that you knew had like an existing strong relationship with before it was decided to travel out here? Was it Tolan? Was it Grunheld? Was it Dawson?
Oh, I think it was Dawson, because Dawson was always doing stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that the scholars sort of spied on him and things, but it certainly was sort of interesting, and we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was going on. So many bets taken. So yeah, I think it was that. And then I finally kind of got the gumption up to go and talk to him to see if I could figure out what was going on. So that was sort of one of my big things, was actually going, oh yeah, if you go talk to someone directly, sometimes you learn what's going on. So,
and let me ask you this: what was the name of your original mountain home?
Oh, let's see here. That's you mean all of ours?
Yeah, the one that you came from, that the four of you came from.
Oh man. So I kind of, it's a hard one. I think it's actually called like Stonelight. And here's a Stonelight, and it is because one of the big halls had this weird thing where there was actually a place where they had worked it out so that sunlight would show at certain times of the day all the way down at the deepest hold. It was a set of polished, you know, plates and things like that, but also just that there was a super deep fissure that was sort of not like a big fissure, but just a deep fissure that went through this mountain, that they were able to make use of. And it was like a thing that they never dug in it. But they would crawl in and put more of these mirrors in, just as a thing, is like a point of pride. Is this like, even now as we're leaving, the light where that lands is very bright in there at certain times of the day. Is that good?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you for a name. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to ask you. You don't have
Okay.
to answer it right now because you're going to tell me when I come back to you.
Okay.
One of the factions that is in the area around your new place are centaurs.
Ooh.
And there's a duchy of centaurs. So I need you to give me a name for a duchy of centaurs. Okay.
Excellent.
That's what your roles were earlier. So I'm also going to do that for the others, though I forgot to
Okay.
do their roles. We'll come back to that.
All right.
Ethan, let me come to you next. What founders clan has a kind of complex history with your own clan? You can decide whether that's good complicated or bad complicated.
Let's see, complex history. That's probably the Shard Singers.
Okay. And how? What is that complicated relationship about?
See, okay, they're Forge Masters. Or that's their reputation anyway. I think. I think that my clan actually sort of split off from theirs.
Oh, okay.
And I think that they like it's not a rivalry because they're, they've kind of focused on two completely different things, but I think that they sort of probably look down on my clan a bit, see them as lazy and like too much like the other species, like, oh, they don't mind being above ground, things like that. They're not real dwarves.
So the Shard Singers are kind of a selected clan. They have the talents. Do you think that the split off was that you originally were founded by some people that had the talents and rejected them? Is that what kind of went on, or
Yeah, I think they're yeah, I think it was kind of that. It was like they had the abilities, but like, there were plenty of people already like that. Like that's something people aspire to be, what was the term again? Forge Masters? Yeah. And like not everybody can be. Even people who would like with any other group of people, like the standards are very high.
Mhm.
And you have to work really hard to like keep your place. And so that's why my people are known as lazy,
Okay.
because like they're like, okay, yeah, I could work really hard and struggle for a place here, or I could just like go start a farm.
Is that
Which is
work?
also really hard work, but it's
Okay.
not regarded as the same.
Does that work for you, Dawson? The kind of the sense of that kind of split off before and that pressure?
Yeah, and I can see that sort of like old stereotype of the stone singers or the shard singers to like look down on them as like the upstart community college sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Even if that's like long since not true anymore.
Uh, Ethan, what is this new place that you're going to, this buried metropolis which has been lost? What is the name of the mountain that is there?
Ah, the mountain that we're going to.
Yep.
I think it's like, Cloud Island, because the peak actually reaches up and it's always surrounded by clouds. And if you go up there, it looks like you're on an island and there's,
I like that. So that is the name of the Cloud Island. There's that appearance that the clouds kind of keep that peak more visible than the rest of it. I like it. That says some interesting things. I'm going to have you now roll me 2d6, Ethan.
Okay. 1 and 4.
Okay. And then can you roll me? Let me get this sheet up here. David Oracles. Another 2d6.
Okay. 4 and 6.
4 and 6. So the faction that you're going to give a name to is a League of Knowles.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll have it come back to you on that. Grunheld, why does your current homeland need this settlement? Like what is the reason why this expedition is not only going on but being supported and permitted and resources are being given over to it?
I mean, I think it is it is a traditional reason of we have gotten too big to support ourselves. But also as part of that is we've gotten a little decadent.
Okay.
In that there's so many people here and trade is going pretty well. So there's a kind of loss of inspiration and drive. And this is seen as trying to release that a little bit. And I don't even know if maybe we're getting get rid of the people that have we should be doing more and they want to be left alone to be indulgent. But that's the sort of feel.
We talked about the fact that the current conflict that's going on are this other fake clan of dwarves within the sort of your settlements complexes. Like they resent their role in that conflict and they are now kind of sparring, fighting with you. Who is it from this other group, this other whole settlement of dwarves that you convinced to leave and come with you? Who is that? You, and I mean you personally.
That's Trillion.
Okay.
And I think that he is a skilled merchant, a skilled diplomat that I convinced by this having this opportunity, we can find some common ground if you and some of yours come with us to this new place. It is a chance to heal these old wounds.
Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, I like that very much. Now, let me ask you this. This is a buried metropolis, a lost city, and we'll find some secrets out and we'll talk a little bit about, we'll come back and maybe as a group come up with some stuff. But is the name of the new settlement going to be the same as the name of the old metropolis, or is it going to be a new name?
Is the metropolis named what we heard, or is that just the mountain? What was it?
That's just the mountain. So we haven't given a name. So this is just the question whether you're going to assign a new name to it, or whether you're going to call yourself Moria.
I'm pushing for the idea that it's the same. We're recovering what is ours, and
then what is that name? And feel free if you want to give us a meaning and then find a dwarven term to fit with that later.
I think it's going to be called Carrick Minor, and that what it means is glory above and below.
Okay. I'm putting that in the settlement thing there. And you can change the spelling. I just kind of did it by ear there. Why don't you roll me 2d6?
Alrighty. I actually even have roller up. I'm good. All right. 2d6. I have a 1 and a 2.
1 and a 2. And then roll me another 2d6.
Right. I have a 4 and a 5.
4 and a 5. So there is a guild of elves that is one of the other factions in your region. And I'm going to have you come up with a name for them. Okay.
All right.
All right. Dazin Runejaw. Do you think that you feel like obligated to go to this new place? Like, were you pushed to go, or is it about your own ambitions, or is it something else?
I think the clan was going to send a faction definitely, no matter what. I like the idea of some like personal ambition pushing Dawson. That idea that there could be not just like something old to shine up and show to the world again, but something, you know, truly unknown or forgotten that could be hidden out there that he could dig up, some knowledge, some artifact, something like that.
And your clan, the Shard Singers, you know, they are a selected clan. Are they sending people on this, or are they keeping their resources?
Yeah, I think the clan is basically splitting in half. Like,
oh, okay.
You know, they worked very hard to find a balanced and complete sort of knowledge and work set to send out to found in this.
So a kind of a carefully calculated split rather than like a factional split.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Within this area, let me ask you, I want to ask you, what is the name of this region that has Carrick Minor, that has the Mountain of Cloud Island? What is the name for that region?
The Redstone Reach.
Redstone Reach. And let me ask you this. They ask about what the age is, whether this is the region is in a state of collapse, a state of people, ambitious people looking to take advantage, a state of some warfare and conquest, or a golden age. What do you think the state of the region that you're going to, this Redstone Reach, is?
I think it's the what was the second one?
Ambition, you know, different groups kind of looking to figure out how they want to. Okay.
I think it's sort of parallel to us here. Like whatever emptied the city, emptied some of the region. Like there's been land and resources sitting open and haunted or cursed or whatever they were, and so we're not the only faction that's moving back into this area.
Okay, so these other factions may also be reestablishing lost settlements or things like that. Okay, I like that very much.
Yeah, I like the idea sort of like ancient property claims trying to be haggled back and forth.
Okay.
I should have
Yeah.
taken a lawyer. That's what I'm going to do. So I can become a lawyer for the land.
Patrick, roll me 2d6.
Uh-oh. 1 and 5.
Can you roll that again?
2 and 3.
And then can you roll me another 2d6?
6 and 1.
Okay. There is a sodality
Oh.
of Tengu in the
nice.
area.
Crow people?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And that's the faction that you're going to figure out.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
That the name before them. Sherry, what's the name of this Duchy of Centaurs?
I actually wrote that in the sheet.
Oh, did you put it in there?
I did. I went over there and I clicked on it, and I think I put it in there somewhere. Oh yeah, it's the Quranic Duchy, the Centaurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the pressure that is affecting the region right now? Is it a pressure coming from within? Is it a pressure from without? Is it about the environment? Or is it about mystic forces in the area?
It's a good question. I like the idea that like almost all of these factions that are here have been pushed out, or like in a place that that's gotten too full, had pressures, and some of them have chosen to come to this place, and all of them have a sense of being like something called them. Does that make any sense?
Okay. Do you want to describe that as mystic forces? Do you want to
Yeah,
describe
let's
that
say
as
mystic
okay.
forces. I
Okay.
like that. Just
All right.
but we're dwarves, so we're like
fair with your magic. All right.
We're here because we found some old dwarf stuff that's from here.
Okay. Let us come to Ethan. Ethan, what is the name of the Knowles?
Yeah, so the Ash Claw sisters.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
They are probably not actually sisters, but
okay.
Not the entire league of them.
They're just good friends. I like that. That's great. What is the dominant terrain of the Redstone Reach region? Is it many islands? Is it lengthy coastlands? Is it expansive wetlands? Is it steep highlands, countless rivers, endless plains, deep forests, or deserts or dry land?
I think it's sort of semi-arid desert, like scrublands, with like canyons through the lower regions of it.
Okay. Deserts or dry lands around there, scattered places that may be why these places were abandoned in the past, but there's been some places where there is some vegetation and so on down there.
Yeah.
Possibly up at the top of Cloud Island, and those kinds of things. I like that. Tyler, what are these elves, these long ears named?
The Autumn Dawn.
Autumn Dawn. The mountain has positive traits, 2 positive traits, and a negative trait. Why don't you tell me one of the positive traits? And here is the traits that they have for the mountain: sheltering, proud, nourishing, calming, giving, playful, and wise.
I think proud.
Okay. All right, I'll come back to you. Patrick, what is the name of this sodality of Tengu?
Sodality was just such a good word. I couldn't drop it. So it's the Sarku sodality.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I like that. What is the other positive trait of the mountain? We've got proud, but there's also sheltering, nourishing, calming, giving, playful, and wise.
What the fuck does playful mean? I want to know what that is.
I don't think we have any real explanation of what these
Lots
things.
of brooks, fickle weather.
Then I want to choose that, and we'll figure out what it means.
Okay, all right, I like that.
That's so incongruous. I have
It's
to go with
so
it.
weird. I like that. Sherry, let me come back to you.
Mhm.
Your mountain also has a negative trait.
Oh, goody. Let's see.
Here are the negative traits that it has.
Okay.
Ornery, spiteful, greedy, cruel, hasty, or hungry.
Ornery sounds so good.
Okay. So it's a little stubborn.
Yeah, it's stubborn and a little vexatious on occasion.
Playful and stubborn. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Ethan, give me the name for a region that connects to Redstone Reach.
Name for it. Okay. The Dead Lakes.
The Dead Lakes. Ooh. Yep. That's not ominous at all.
I don't know if that means there's nothing living in them, or if they're dry, or if just like something happened and a lot of people died around them, hundreds of years ago, and it's fine now.
Okay.
Who knows?
Tyler. So they have special abilities for the settlement. And let me just make sure I've got this right one here. I want, and we can discuss this as a group, but I want to kind of put it to you first. You can start with homeland connection, cultural, which gives you homeland connection. Always trade with your homeland, not only potential trade partners in your region, and you reduce the reputation cost to increase your settlement's tier by 1.
Oh, that's nice.
Cultural understanding. Each founder gets +1 action rating in command, host, or convince, up to a max rating of 3. That would make up for some of the resolve issues that we have amongst the group. Ancillary diplomats. During downtime, you may use a downtime action to gain 2 reputation.
That's nice.
Collective contributors. Give all guilds an additional crafters or scholars role. And then lastly, songs of toil. Once per year, when you lead workers in toil to the rhythm of laborers' tunes, your picks are steady and your measurements are true. Name the workers or locations honored in song, and then you treat results of 1 to 3 as 4 to 5 for, I think, progress.
Okay. And these will be things we also pick up others along the way, right?
I believe that you can pick up additional special abilities.
Let's start with that cultural understanding, I suppose.
I think that is, quite honestly, a very smart choice. So everybody may choose and add 1 action rating in either command, host, or convince. Let's see. Patrick, I'm going to ask you, the sort of the last of these ask questions. Give me the name of another region that's connected to Redstone Reach?
Um, the Forest of 8,000 Elms.
The Forest of 8,000 Elves.
Elms.
Elms?
The tree.
Oh,
ELMS.
I thought it was like that's an interesting population thing. Elms. Okay.
I can't inflict more elves than
I
necessary on Tyler.
see Tyler shaking his head there. So you all gather yourselves together for this journey, for this travel. Uh and prepare yourselves. Well, I want to go around and I want like tell me, what do we see of you, like, of your leave taking?
Can I
Yeah,
can I ask one quick question?
yeah.
Are we the four founders? Are there others that are founders, or is there like a rumble underneath us of someone who might try to? Is that the what do we feel like that is?
I would like to say that if people want to come up with other founders as NPCs, you can do that. If you want to, like, say, okay, there's another guild and this is a founder for that, or that role, that's cool. But until they're made, you are the four until we kind of add them as other NPCs. Does that sound
Okay, cool,
good?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with, of course, also the rivals within your guild as potential upstarts who could overthrow your rule and so on.
Cool.
So yeah, I want to do kind of a look at the leave taking. Who do you say goodbye to, or not say goodbye to? What do we see you gathering? What do we see you doing? Sherry, if you could change your display name. Because otherwise I will not remember your character's name. And actually, let's take a 5-minute break here, and then let's do the leave taking. That way we can kind of continue the roll in without taking another break in that. Okay, so let's take 5. And let's go reverse order. I've made Sherry and Ethan take hot seat here for most of the things. So we're gonna reverse order.
Oh no.
Patrick, for Dawson, what is the scene we see like as you're getting ready to depart? Who are you talking to, or what are you doing, or what do we see of that?
I think actually it's a morning where like all of the shard singers that are leaving are getting ready and leaving all at the same time.
Okay.
And it's because I like the idea of some like hierarchical academia nonsense going on.
Okay.
So there has been this long and protracted behind the scenes struggle of like exactly who is going to take over which workshop when half of the clan leaves, of like who gets the good workshop, who gets the one that's near the gardens, who gets the one that smells weird. And as soon as the like the workshops are emptied and then immediately refilled, then everybody has to meet in the main like meeting hall for the clan to officially pass off the ancient seals of tenure from one leaving Shardsinger to one that's staying behind.
Nice. Gathering together. Do you think the Shard Singers have obviously, the various dwarven markings and runes and tattoos and things like that, but is there a uniform to the Shard Singers, or is that not something they do?
I don't think it's uniform. I think it's a symbol, like a necklace, like
Okay.
almost like a holy symbol.
All right.
I think it's like an amber crystal shard with like one personally meaningful rune etched inside somehow the crystal.
Nice.
Like the rune would be different for each person. It's something personal to you, but like the amber shards all look uniform and the same.
Grunheld, what is it we see of your leave taking, of your preparations?
I think we see a like or a sizable home, where clearly a lot of things are missing, and there is a younger but still very much adult dwarf man and dwarf woman, which are my son and daughter. And I came up with their names. What are they? Here we go. My son is Grunmark and my daughter is Doranheld. And there is an argument that has that feeling of it's been an argument for probably a couple of years, and it's, why are you leaving? This is crazy. Think of your advanced age. You should be enjoying yourself. But at the same time, a little bit of thank God the old battle axe is leaving. Sort of discussion going on.
And what is your reaction to this? Like how are you reacting?
There's that little bit of weariness of the same old argument, and there's an undercurrent of like disappointment in both of them. It is, I won't say that I am unhappy that you have decided to stay, but I can't. This place it's full of old memories. I want a place full of new opportunities.
There is a bit where you see them kind of like they've tuned over this argument, and there is that your daughter will step forward and go, all right. It may well be that someday you may see your grandchildren sent there. I hope that is something that happens.
Once we regain the glory, I hope that you, your brother, your families will come to visit Cloud Island, the glory above and below. It is a wonder that is to be recaptured.
Your son says nothing. He kind of just nods, but your daughter does see you out, does pick up the last of the things and help you carry that out the door.
I will lean in and kiss her and watch out for your brother.
If you command me so, I will do this, Mother.
He has a good heart. deep
So,
within.
so you say. Tolan, what is the scene of your leave taking?
Uh, I think I think you see like a small house on the edge of some farmland, like above ground, um, and Tolan has loaded up all of his stuff in a wagon and is handing over the house to like his younger cousin, who like he kind of helped kind of raised almost like his kid, but
Mhm.
and it's like, take care of the place, don't let our relatives push you around.
Oh, you absolutely have to go?
Yeah, it sounds strange, but they claim they need me. So if anyone came to me and said that, they must be serious. They wouldn't, for them to admit that.
And they nod and they'll go out with you. And I'm guessing that probably as part of the laborers and crews, we see some of the carts and carriages and things that are out there. What what are the beasts that we see here? Are they battle goats? Are they woolly oxen? Are they giant beetles? What are the draft creatures and things that we're going to see with your people on the road here?
The goats thing immediately. I was like, yeah. I think it's very large, like horse-sized goats.
Okay, some thick rams and some regular goats and different qualities of fur on them.
Yeah, a few of them are technically sheep, but
Yes.
they're like just mountain sheep and mountain goats that have been bred to haul things.
All right. And your cousin will say, uh, someday they will let me leave, and I will come there too.
I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, I will have restored it by the time you get there. You can see the glory of the old city.
And they nod, and we see you head over onto one of these carts. Dagriel, what is the scene we see for you of your leave taking?
Oh, it's the Gold Tome Foundation. I think that essentially what it is when we decided we were going to do this, we people drew people could choose to come or go, and then whether they were going to do that, and then we took all the books in the library and we put like the names on straws and drew them between the two of us, and then this thing is like a big party where we're bartering straws back and forth and promising like to make copies, in this thing, if you give me this for this time, and those sorts of things. And it is just kind of a wild thing. There's a lot of gambling going on. It's very it's like there's a few fist fights, but mostly that's how we're figuring out which books are going with us. And I mean, there was definitely bartering and bargaining, and some of the scholars like made out really well just by drawing like a really important bestiary or something like that.
And what is the book that you've been trying to get a hold of?
I think it's like Arvarg's Machines of the Ancient Times, which is considered a fanciful rendering of machines that were used to quote unquote mine essence from the heart of the earth.
Okay.
So it's all things that we don't even know mostly what they mean, but there's sort of these beautiful illustrations, but they're in that sort of a style so old that it looks super quaint to us, very much like illustrated, illuminated manuscripts look to us like the drawings are sort of like they're beautiful but odd, and you're like, what are they doing there? and why is there a dog dancing on a ball? I don't understand.
Is it symbolic?
I don't know. Is it symbolic or
and what did you have to trade away to give up? Was it a book? Was it money? Was it ale? Was it something else?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I think that I had to arrange a date, like essentially.
Okay. Had to
There's
do matchmaking.
Yes, some matchmaking stuff to get this, and so because it's essentially one of the older gentlemen is very much like would like to settle down and have something, but I had to go through all of the cousins and aunts who have chosen the free now, and figure out who would be a good match, and it was like 4 or 5 dates before I found one he liked.
Okay. I like that. And we cut to the journey on the road, the caravan, going across different landscapes. We do the Peter Jackson swoop down and across. We see from the distance that it comes through, and the swelling music as you're traveling. Grunheld, as you're traveling and the evenings where people are talking, what's one thing that is said about Carrick Minor? Like, what is one like story or rumor or legend or detail that is spoken of about that place?
Memory talks about it at its glory days, and so many people like to talk about its glory days. But now that we're on the road, a lot of people have the talk of the silence. It was very sudden, and no one is quite sure. There didn't seem to be a hint of the problem, but then years passed with no word, and then decades, and by the time a traders went and returned with word, there was no one there.
Empty, like Croatoa kind of empty?
Empty, yes.
Okay.
And not it didn't look like war, it didn't look like actual disaster. It was just echoing and empty.
Okay. Grunheld, as you're traveling along, what is the first faction of the 4 factions that you cross paths with some of their representatives?
I think it's the Quranic. I think they probably range the furthest.
Yeah, so there is a thing that you're traveling, and it is quite a sight, and so on. And these are roads that have vanished. These are old markers and things like that. And there is out of some of these dry lands, and you'll see the dust kicking up, and you see these group of centaurs approaching. You need to do a 2d6 fortune roll.
Okay, so just straight 2d6.
2d6, and tell me what the highest die result is.
All right. A 4.
It is a 4. The centaurs approach, and they're wary, but some of them will come towards where you were at, and they will ask where you are headed.
Yeah, we return to the old city.
The mountain? The mountain city?
Yes. Carrick, I'm the one that came up with it today. Having trouble, but
Carrick Minor.
Carrick Minor.
They talk amongst themselves. They say, "You are passing through our lands. We will not stop you, but know that there are things around and about. If you treat fairly with us, we will treat fairly with you, but we keep to our own. Do not think to take what we have so carefully cultivated for ourselves."
We return to our own and our old home, and we look forward to having friendly relations with our neighbors.
And they will nod. It does seem like they have there's markers and things that tell you that they may have like an organized like a hierarchy there. And it definitely seems kind of like when you're talking to them that they're probably down in the lowlands that are like the weakest of the lands in some ways, or the least resource intensive. And so that seems to be kind of what's driving them. But they react neutrally to you. They're not opposed to you, but neither are they particularly friendly. But that's how we start with them. Patrick, as you travel along here, what's another story that's told about Carrick Minor on the way there?
So we have the thing with the mirrors that like bring down sunlight and everything down into the right. So I think there are stories that just seem impossible to be true, but that there were either naturally or crafted in some way veins of crystal that would run through the mountain, and when the moon was bright enough at night, along the like ceilings of the caves, as these veins of crystal like ended there, it would make a like shifting and glittering star field up above the city, but inside the mountain.
I like that very much.
They even would like the dwarves there had their own constellations that didn't have anything to do with the stars outside.
I like that. Ooh,
So they
interesting.
moved across the ceiling?
Ooh, yeah. They shift with not necessarily the seasons, but the turning of the earth.
Nice. What is the next of the factions that your group encounters? And I've added a fifth one on there, a group of gnomes.
Oh, okay. I think the elves. Let's run across the elves.
Roll me 2d6.
4 and a 5.
4 and a 5. So tell me something about this particular culture of the Autumn Dawn elves. What are they like? Are they forest elves? Are they tall elves? Are they short elves? Like, what do we see of them?
I think they're tall elves. I think they are like golden amber radiant skin, like not a human skin tone, but a very like metallic-y, bright saturated sort of dark yellow skin tone.
I like that. And they will approach out, in the evening, and they will say, "There are no dwarves in this area. So why are you here?"
There have been no dwarves in this area. It was a temporary state, a flux of nature. We come to refill our natural place.
Well, it's not necessarily natural. I think that's assuming too much here. I think that is not the way of the nature of this place, but fair enough.
Isn't it true that nature would fill a void?
And it
Abhors
has.
an absence?
It
Has it
already
though?
has. You are simply artificially pushing in, as the dwarves are tend to do.
The mountain has sat empty. The halls are unfilled. That proves that it was waiting for the right force to come and fill it again.
Now, I think you're deciding that you're the right one when it is not, in fact, decided that way. But fair enough. We will. We are the Autumn Dawn Elves. We traverse around this area. We are seekers of the truth. And we wish you well in your endeavors, dwarven folk.
We wish you well in your wanderings. We have many ancient truths if you would ever come to care to come share them.
We might. And they head off very elf-like. Tolan, what is another thing that is said about Carrick Minor?
That
I
it's
can't hear.
haunted.
Oh, there you go. Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah, I think it's haunted. I think that's what they say about it. Because
Okay.
I mean, suddenly emptied, everybody disappeared, obviously.
And like, what kind of haunting? Just a knocks in the darkness, or poltergeist, or actual spirits, or something else? What do you think is said of this haunt?
I think nobody has like concrete. I think it's heard something weird, saw something weird, and the discussion is actually an argument over like, are these creatures why our people left, or are these the ghosts of our people, or there's a lot of different rumors about what exactly they are, but I think everyone agrees that there's something weird and supernatural in this place.
Okay. Some entities or something that exists there. What is the next faction of the three remaining that, as you draw closer to Sky Island, as you draw closer to the mountain, that you encounter?
I think it's the Tengu.
Okay. Why don't you roll me 2d6?
4 and 2.
4 and a 2.
4.
So the Tengu will alight down out. You're close. You're probably in the sort of the hilly lands. They land down, and they're that kind of various iridescent colors on their wings and their beaks, and they they flutter around, kind of making noise as they do there, and they're like, where are you going? Why are you doing this? Where are you headed? Where are you going? What's going on? What's going on, man? You gonna tell us or not? We came out of our woodwork to come and say, usually we don't come out and say, but there's so many of you.
We're dwarves. We're going back to our old city.
Where's your old city?
It's in the mountain. It's
Oh, your city's in the Holy Mountain.
yes.
Okay. But it's inside.
Under it, really. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's fine then. That's fine then. Because the mountain's holy. It is where at the tops we beaks and feathers and look out into the sky and feel the touch of the feathered Lord there.
So the top of the mountain is holy. I see. Well, we're dwarves. We spend most of our time underground. We're not planning on building anything on top
really?
of it,
I thought that was made up. Like how can you live underground? Like that sounds fake.
Well, we just always have.
Okay.
We have farms above ground sometimes, but we also have fungus
farms.
and
Farms. We like farms.
We've just adapted to it. We've learned to live underground.
Okay.
Same way
you should grow corn. We really like corn. Corn's good. We really like it. Okay. Well, we live up at the tops of the mountains. It is good to see you. We are called the Sarcosuidality.
Sarcosuidality?
Sarcosuidality.
Well, it's very nice to meet you. I'm sure we'll see you on top of the mountain.
On top of the mountain, if you come up there, yes, then. But and if you grow corn, you'll probably see us there.
And if we grow corn,
okay,
I'll keep that in mind.
Sherry, what is one last tale or rumor or story that is told about Carrick Minor?
It's just a story, really. But apparently, very deep down, they had forges that were tapped into a vein of magical energy, and that was what they used to make most of their finest works. And in fact, the sconces that we are carrying back were made there. That's what they tell us about, is that we have to go back there.
Excellent.
Have to find the thing. So
and as you draw those final stages, the final path towards Carrick Minor, what is the last of the two factions that you encounter? Is it the gnolls or is it the gnomes?
Oh, I think that we caught a glimpse of the gnolls, and we of the scholars, especially those of us who had done some scouting, were sort of trying to track them down and find out where they were up to, and we tripped over the damn gnolls. Okay. I mean, the neighbor gnomes. Excuse me, gnomes.
The gnomes or the gnolls? Which ones do you want to deal with?
Oh, the gnomes, I think. But more like, we literally ran into them while we were following the gnolls.
Then roll me 2d6.
Okay, 2d6. Oh yeah, it's 3 and a 2.
3 and a 2. And I think that when the gnomes come out, there's groups around, and I think that it is maybe you with your scholarship and Runejaw without that will immediately realize that these are necromancers. And they do not seem to like you. They're like, this is not a place for you and your kind. This city you go to brings only death, and not a good one that we can use.
So it's not useful to you. That's fine then. Okay. Good. So what do you know about the death it brings?
We will not share that knowledge with you.
No. Okay.
You will keep to your deep holdings, and if any of you in your ilk step out, then you will see what powers we have to bring to bear.
So noted. I'll write it down. I'll show them that I've written it down. It's in big, ostentatious dwarven script. It's very, very lovely.
I like that very much. And I do think that I just rolled a 6 for that. Okay.
So the necronomes have thrown down the gauntlet.
They are
so to
hostile.
speak.
I do think that as you are reaching those final sort of stages, you will see a band of gnolls that are there, standing, waiting your approach, and they will come to where you're at. Again, gnolls, that kind of hyena like. Yep. They're one of the sort of the goblinoid peoples, but they will come, and they will arrive, and they will say, "Oh, welcome, dwarven friends. We have heard tales that you are here to retake your city."
That's the plan.
That is excellent. Our people live in the caves to the eastern side. It does not connect to the depths, but we live there in the caves, in the woods. We are close by. So if you need assistance, we can provide assistance. And maybe you can provide assistance to us if we need it. There are some asshole gnomes in the area.
Assholes, though? And I'm like, yeah, we got to do something about that.
My sisters and I, we dislike them, but we heard rumor, tales of trade, and wealth, and dwarves coming, and we welcome you here to this place. It's your place. We've heard that.
Well, the caves are your place, though, right?
The caves are our place. Yes.
Okay.
I just did not want you to get the thought that we were saying that it is our place as well. It is not.
Okay. No, we understand. Well, it's good to be welcomed. I'm trying to think here. I assume that usually we're just very snobby around gnolls for the most part. Yeah. So, but it's a little early to get too snobby, since who knows, like, if we're gonna need to borrow a cup of sugar or something. So
exactly.
So I'm playing it well. And yeah, and I'll say, well, great. I guess offer to break bread with them then this time.
They will stop, and if
Certainly.
you speak with them, they will share information with you. They are a secluded group generally, and I think they're like the other groups, also driven by resources, like by the scarcity of resources here. And they do talk trade, so they do seem interested in that.
Okay, that sounds great.
And I think that there is that settlement where the gnolls have gone on, and you're leading the carts to the secret places, to the doorway, the gateway to Carrick Minor. The doors are shut, but you have the keys to unlock them. What do these doors look like, Tyler?
I think it is a massive arch with a with gates that would swing open and close, doorways that would swing open and close, but that carved into the face of them is a I'll go back to, I think we see a constellation that is never in the sky.
Okay.
And below it, we see the forges working down at the base. And in between, we have like this, I think, done with like semi-precious stones, and the glinting. There is this almost iridescence light that is between the two.
Excellent. And Dazin, what does the key look like that you've brought with you? Is it a pair of keys? Is it many keys? Is it one key?
Why not? Let's be sort of over about everything. It's 4 keys, exactly. There are 4 locks. But they are each of a like deep cobalt blue metal, not like an enameled metal, but some metal that's like blue down to its core. And I think the ends of them are carved into 4 different runic shapes.
So you all go forward and put the keys in and turn them, and there is that grinding sound. Mechanism has sat for a long time, but it is dwarven made. So even with that grinding, you'll see it move back smoothly. And what do we see? Like, what does this entryway look like, Talon? The when you come in through these big doors, what is it that is before you?
I think it's, at first it looks almost like a natural cave. Like it was a natural cave, and then they did fairly minimal alterations to it. But then as you look closer, you see that, there are stalactites, but they all have runes carved in them. And it is using this natural cave, which, already looked pretty impressive, and making small tweaks to it to make it look even more impressive. You see, metal wrapped around, some of the formations, things like that.
And you'll pass through this, and I think see into some of the segments of the city. And I think there is maybe a slightly disheartening moment, as you can see where tunnels and off-ways have collapsed over time, cutting them off what you're going to have to clear to get access to old places of the city. But Dagriel, what is something that you see here in this area? What is a wonder that you do see present here?
One of the things is some of the stalactites have had the sort of tops of them shorn off, and there's like a weird design on it, and like I look at it and I'm like going, what would be the purpose of that, because it's too small to be a table or something. And then I remember the sconces on the bottom, and I look at them, and it exactly fits those stalactites or stalagmites, and I put it on top of one of the sconces, and the sconce lights up.
And the illumination will carry and illuminate the cave around you. And finally, we can kind of get the camera pulls back, and we can see the whole of this cave, of this realm. I see all of you nod, quiet. We hear the bleating of a goat behind, but there we are. And that is where we're going to stop for today. We will take up with that next time, making some choices going to our first sort of year phase and all of that stuff. And we may figure out some more details about these factions that are around. Does that sound cool?
Yeah. Cool.
Let's do a quick stars and wishes, just kind of talk about like things you dug today, and stuff you're looking forward to, like stuff you're really interested in. Patrick, can I start with you?
Assuming I can find tabs, yes.
Yes.
This is cool. This place is weird. I'm excited about it. I like that we all independently sort of honed in on the rebuilding the lost metropolis,
Mm-hmm.
and I like it was one that everyone was really excited about. And similarly, we had a fairly easy time laying out the playbooks and have a really strange group. It's not the first thing I would think of for a dwarf story. Like you think about the solid, aily, stony, shieldy dwarves, and we don't quite have that group here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be really interesting to see. I love everybody's pictures. I love that board you put together.
Oh, and I see that people have started to put their allies and rival pictures. Oh my gosh, I was going to tell you to do that, but I see they're already populated. Oh my gosh, look at you guys. That's great.
I also really liked the sort of like legends and stories about this lost city. I think that started to give it some real flavor, and there are things that like I want to follow up on and see more of, and that sort of stuff. Wishes. I'm very curious to see how the like setting up the initial rooms and spaces go, because that's still sort of a vague spot for me. And I think it'll also be a good opportunity to bring in more like descriptive visuals to set us up as we start off in these first like couple of spaces, couple of rooms, whatever it is.
That seems fair. That's a really good point. Tyler?
This is awesome. So awesome. I'll agree with Patrick. It was great. We all centered in on a home we wanted. I love our choices for playbooks. I think that's going to add a bunch of stuff. We all kind of went and grabbed some things we might need. We have a few skirmishers. We have some dig. We have some things we'll need. But again, Patrick's right. It's not like a bunch of rowdy warriors going to retake a place. This is a more considered group going here. I really liked the tone and feel, Lowell, that you kind of set up with it. I liked the parting. I thought it really added so much to us leaving, and everybody's choices of how that was played into the characters so nicely. I really, really enjoyed that. I like the factions we have around us. I'm interested to know more about them. And it just seems like there's a lot to play with here, and I cannot wait to get into it. For wishes, I suppose my big first wish is kind of to get into a chance to explore, to see a little of what the city is and where we might want to focus on, starting the settlement.
I think that's fair. Certainly, we're going to work through this mechanically and in gameplay next time. So that's a really good point. Ethan?
Yeah, stars for the. This is partly the game itself and partly just everybody's choices, but like the way all of the different, the different options put together this really incongruous, individual character, this really incongruous faction. And I love seeing like everybody put those together in ways that worked. I think is what I'm getting at. Like, oh, you don't expect, friendly, happy hyena people, but there they are. Or, angry necromancer gnomes. So yeah, I really like the way the dice gave really unexpected combinations, and the way that you like just mashed them together, like, okay, this works. For wishes, I guess I'm just really interested to see this particular combination of characters, because like and how dealing with various challenges, because I also when I think dwarves, entire campaign of dwarves, I expect a lot of fighting, a lot of violence, but like this particular group of dwarves, not so much. So I'm interested to see like how this group deals with things in unexpected ways.
Yeah, we'll try to see those challenges. We'll try to get some paired up scenes so we can see how the dynamic is between the different PCs next time as well. Because we really haven't had a chance to see that yet. It's been very much parallel streams, and now we're going to see how they all come together. Sherry?
What a great group of people to build a world with, huh? Like just so much good stuff. I just love Carrick Minor so much already. Not what I would have come up with on my own, so much better. And I love every piece that I added and every piece that everyone else added. It's just great. And I'm already going, oh, is this only a quarterly? Oh.
Don't do that to me, Sherry.
You know me.
I know.
So, but yeah, no, it's great. I love the domes. I love, again, the factions all came out great. I love the characters and what their relationships were back in the old place, and kind of having to figure out who we are to each other in the new place. Should be great.
Any wishes?
Yeah. I don't know. I always forget, like, what is the way that you get experience in here? Because I need another special ability, and so I'm going to have to be gunning for that. So I'm going to.
So there's general stuff, but you also get XP for solving problems in a particular way based on your playbook.
Oh, I got to look out for what that is. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So okay, I will go squint at the fine print on getting XP in this game. So yeah. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I really enjoyed this. There are a lot of pieces, and I was a little bit frazzled at first, but I think it came together. After that first sort of me trying to move between different sections at the start, I felt like we kind of got rolling, and I'm very excited about this. I am going to stop the recording.